morning everybody, Calm Biker here. Just heading towards Driffield, although I'm going to turn off and head back towards Beverley shortly. I'm out testing the microphone as I mentioned in the last video. I'm really bored of testing microphones, so I'm probably fairly sure that you're bored of hearing me talk about them as well. Ooh, airsoft. Never done airsoft. Done a lot of paintball, but not airsoft. I think that could be quite good fun. Anyway, I do have an ability to get distracted quite impressively quickly, don't I? I mentioned in the last video that there were two topic type videos that I talked about, so I thought I would record the other one while I was out. The other one that definitely got thrown in the waste bin or trash or whatever it's called nowadays. And the other one was my Pinlock. I mentioned in a video I was editing the other day, but at the time of recording this is probably several weeks away from being published. But I mentioned that I was having a problem with my Pinlock, and the problem was basically that it would mist. The Pinlock, if you haven't used one before, one of the earliest videos I did actually was talking about the Pinlock, and it's kind of double glazing for your helmet. It's not really double glazing for your helmet though, but it's kind of that. It's a soft plasticky insert that goes inside your visor and is attached with two pins that go through your visor, and it's got like a lip around the edge which lifts it away from the visor, so there is an air gap between the Pinlock insert and the visor, and the hope is that that air gap stops the visor from misting because no moisture can get to it. The plastic itself apparently is a clever plastic that absorbs moisture, so as you breathe on the Pinlock it will not mist. I've never actually seen a Pinlock mist. Obviously we've all seen visors mist. You only have to stop for a second on a moist day and breathe out and you get mist on your visor, but then you pop your visor open as you're moving and it disappears in a second. The problem I was having with the Pinlock was that I couldn't get a good seal on it, I don't think. And I'm not sure if it's that something's changed in the Pinlock itself, maybe it's less flexible or something like that, or too flexible so you don't get that rigidity that pushes it against the visor because of the curve of the plastic. But I was finding that no matter how I adjusted it, I would always get presumably a tiny gap because I get a little bit of misting starting, and at the time I recorded the video it was at the top of the Pinlock, so it was not in a place where it would cause me a visibility problem, but it was in my eye line to see the misting creeping down from the top, and once it crept down by about an inch it would then start to get in my eye line and I'd have to pop the visor open a notch to let the misting clear. The secondary problem is that because the Pinlock is there and there was then only a tiny gap, the air couldn't get to that gap very easily, so instead of clearing almost instantaneously like it would do with just a standard visor, it would actually take a minute or two for it to clear away that misting, which kind of defeats the object of the Pinlock really, doesn't it? I suppose without the Pinlock it mists quickly and clears quickly. With the Pinlock it was misting slowly and clearing slowly. The overall amount of misting is probably about the same, just focused into one kind of 2 or 3 minute bit. I've tried taking the visor off, readjusting it. I even tried putting a bit of grease along the edge of the lip on the Pinlock to see if that would help it make a better seal, but nothing seemed to help. So the other day, yesterday in fact, I thought I would give another thing a try. I thought for the first time since I first used a Pinlock I would take it out and ride without one. Now it's summer still, just, so it's not the best time for testing misting, although I am seeing a bit. At the minute there's no mist in my visor at all, but if I stop, as I breathe it mists and I have to crack it to get that mist away. If I start moving it instantly clears, whether the visor's up or down, so just because of the airflow, because I've got my vent open on the top of my helmet. So it's not the best time for testing it, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in winter if I do the same of riding with that Pinlock. But in the same way that I was a convert to a Pinlock 10 or 11 years ago, I might have just converted myself to be anti-Pinlock. And I'll tell you for why. As they say in Yorkshire, stick an extra word in for no good reason. I'll tell you for why. I'll tell you why. I am having the standard misting that you have without a Pinlock, because obviously there's nothing there doing its job. I am having it clear better because I don't have the Pinlock. The one thing that I am seeing that I'd never realised before, and I'm not sure if it was the case when I first got a Pinlock, because I did go from having no Pinlock to having a Pinlock in the same helmet the first time I bought one. But the visibility through the Pinlock was bad, and I hadn't realised. Now, it might be that this is just a better visor because it's a more expensive helmet than you know, those other ones I've had. Or maybe Pinlocks have got worse over time. But I took the Pinlock out, and then I put the helmet on, and I realised I couldn't see the visor. I did clean the visor, but then I clean the visor before I use it every time, or after I've used it every time. So, but I did clean the visor. But I put the helmet on, and it was almost as if the visor wasn't down. I think it is a selling point of this helmet that the visor is a very, very clear one, optically. But I hadn't realised just how not clear the Pinlock was. Mrs. C's mother has just had a cataract operation. She's had one of her cataracts taken out. She's having the other one done shortly. And she said to me the other day when I went to see her, she said, I didn't realise how bad it had got. I would be looking at the photographs at the other side of the room. She's talking about family photographs there. And they would be all blurry, all foggy. And now she's had this done, the one eye is clear. She can now see those photographs clearly from across the room. And it feels a bit like that. I feel like I've had a cataract operation on my helmet. I mean, it wasn't foggy to the point of dangerous or anything, but the difference is remarkable. So I'm at a bit of a loss, really. Have they got worse? I really don't remember this from the first time I got a Pinlock. I don't remember there being any difference, other than I could see the edge of the Pinlock, because on the different helmet it was a smaller insert, so you could see the edge more easily in your eye line. Not in a way that it got in the way. The only kind of oddity about it was that as you went underneath street lights, you could actually see the street light reflected on the edge of the visor, which was a bit weird, on the edge of the Pinlock insert, I should say, on the visor, which was a bit weird. But you got used to that very quickly. But yeah, this is quite the difference indeed. It's shocking. I haven't actually ridden in this visor without a Pinlock until the other day when I tried it, because I'm such a convert to them now. When I buy a helmet, I always, if there's an option, I always tick it to get the Pinlock included. This one had one included anyway, so before I even put the helmet on, I put the insert in, and never thought, give it a second thought. But yeah, I was quite shocked. I feel like I was blind, but now I can see. Anyway, I'm just intrigued to know, anybody else had a similar experience? And anybody else know if this is just that Pinlocks are not as crystal clear as they used to be? Or have they already, or have they always been like this? It's not even that it was an old Pinlock, because the helmet came with a Pinlock that I put in straight away, And then after a while it started misting and I was adjusting it and so on and couldn't get it to work. So I bought a replacement Pinlock that had the same problem ultimately. But you know, that Pinlock was only a few weeks old, so it's not like I've had it for years and it's become cloudy over time. Let me know what you think in them there comments. Thanks for watching everyone, ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.